Welcome to the Creators Origin Podcast, where actors, creators, and leaders in the filmmaking industry tell their stories. We're here to cut through the fluff and get down and dirty with the good, bad, and the ugly that comes with success in the industry. I'm here with my guest today, Anthony James. Anthony, oh my gosh.
What's up, brother?
So excited to have you. You are one of the first people that I feel like I met filmmaking-wise in Atlanta.
Mm.
We only recently started working a little bit more together and doing some more stuff. I feel like you have probably forgotten more about filmmaking than a lot of people know in Atlanta in this industry.
It's possible, I guess.
You're recently working on this project, The Living Tree.
Yeah.
That's like your big flagship project, biggest one you've done.
Yeah.
Tell me all about that. How did that come about?
Oh, man.
I know there's like a dream involved. There's
So, yeah, dude, this was a wild one. Yeah, it was based on a dream from 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago. And at the time, my mom was still around, and my editor, and then Michael, my business partner. I talked to all three of them separately. I said, I just had this really weird dream, and it's been a recurring dream. I was telling them. By this point, it's been like 3 months. I keep having the same dream, and my mom said, well, write it down, honey. You never know. Maybe make it a movie. And it had the setup, right? It had the setup for making an interesting story. And so I did. I kept the notes. Meanwhile, Michael, my business partner, and I, we were purchasing other scripts and writing some other stories. And we'd been pitching for 2 years to investors, to studios, to you name it. And then I had an investor basically tell me he didn't want to hear what I was pitching. And he says, okay, turn around, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds. When you turn back, I want you to pitch what your heart, wants you to do. I was like, what the heck? Like, I've been prepping for this. Spent like $80,000, with my partner to get all this stuff. Anyway. And so I turned back around. I looked at my phone, and then I was like, oh, I know which one. I turn back around, and I say, a newlywed couple gets locked in their treehouse suite on their honeymoon, and then they get tortured by AI, who's trying to understand love and compassion. And he was like, what the heck? Wow. He said, you should pitch this at the Cannes Film Festival. So we did. There was a lot more to it. So like, an actress friend of mine, her name is Bray. She was like, I want to do something together. And I've got a DP friend, so she introduced me to him. And we all want to do something together. And I said, okay. Well, I don't really want to do a short film. And they kept leaning into the shorts. And I said, why? I said, I've done like 75 shorts, and they went to major festivals all over the world. Some won some awards, and there's a ceiling to short films. And so I was like, okay, let's do something that's going to change our lives. And Bray was like, well, what is that? What's that look like? I said, well, I got this story about this couple I'd like to do. And I was really particular about it. I hadn't done this before because I really wanted feminine influence on it. I mean, the lead character is a young woman, and then it's, her husband is the second. And so there was a lot. I mean, they're on their honeymoon. So there's a comfort that I wanted to have in whoever I was working with, for one. And then two, I wanted that female perspective.
Yeah, it's important, especially I feel like when I've written scenes for women, I'm like, I gotta get a girl's eyes. When I'm writing this girl's dialogue, like there's only so much perspective I can give there.
Yeah.
It's funny when you were telling that story of pitching to the guy, it reminded me of that trope in films when the guy's like got his whole speech written out by some corporation gave him this is exactly what you gotta say.
Yeah.
And then he gets up there,
basically.
up, and he's like, just starts speaking from his heart. And
it was really shocking because he cut me off mid-pitch. He's like, just stop, shut up. Like, I want you to pitch me something you really want to do. It's like, no, I really want to do this, and I did, but not to the extent of something that, is based on a dream. Like,
so it was it was the same film you were pitching, just in a different way, or it was
No,
different?
it was totally different film.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So it was completely different.
Yeah.
And he said, I know this is not where your
Yeah.
heart is.
I was pitching like a Hallmark story. It's a Christmas movie, and I do want to still create this, but
Yeah.
it's this Living Tree is, and it's such a pretty film. Right now we're in the middle of digital effects, and that'll last the next couple weeks. But we're at the tail end. We got the soundtrack done, and there's a lot of original music in it, and it's really pretty. And the colors, the sound effects, Foley artists are working right now on finishing that up. And
It looks phenomenal from the stuff I've seen. I'm really excited. So it's a full feature film. What's the runtime come at?
right now it's hovering around an hour and 45 minutes.
Hour 45. Okay. And ultimately, what's the plan? Where's it going?
Well, we're in negotiations with a couple of distribution companies now, and my hope is that we're kind of aiming to do a world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, because we got greenlit there. It'd be really cool to have the world premiere. Their press thinks it's a good idea. It'll be good for story, and then, but I agree. I mean, I think this whole thing is very inspiring. I want other indie filmmakers to hear this, because this is the story you hear about. You're like, oh, this is possible, and it absolutely is. But you got to keep to the grindstone. You got to keep knocking on these doors, and sometimes it's just it's timing and because the story we have that this dream is based on is extremely relevant. I mean, the AI and
Yeah.
all that.
So I want to get to that. I wanted to ask you first about indie filmmaking, and because obviously this is all your vision. You're bringing all these other people, but as an independent filmmaker, you can pretty much go whatever direction you want. Do you feel like it went from start to finish exactly how you wanted, or did you need to recalibrate some things in order to please the investors and the people, on board?
We had ratings done on the script early on, and we had a lot of drafts. I mean, we went into a full development period. So by the time we were shooting, I think we were on draft 15. So it was a lot of drafts. And early on, there was a lot of things that just didn't work or whatever. But when we started getting the script reviewed, this is like draft 7 or 8, maybe 10. I don't know. It was around the time we went out to France for pitching. We had the script reviewed, and some of the things that came back were pretty harsh but circumstantial. So, like, we have a scene. Actually, I don't want to give that away because I don't know. And we are hoping that this releases theatrically. Is what we're looking for.
The theme, like, just as far as the concept was a little too dark.
No, there's some of the dialogue between the characters. There's a point where Noah he's got other things going on, but she doesn't know. He had cancer before. She thinks he's still in remission. What it turns out is he's not. And he gets that news while they're on their honeymoon. So, but there's discussion maybe midpoint of the movie, maybe a little bit further, and some of the dialogue choices. Reviewers thought it might be a little bit harsh, and so we went back on some of that. There's other things that were different too.
So ultimately, would you have, if you had the complete freedom, would you have kept it as is, or you just kind of had to acquiesce a little bit?
No, I actually, I think the compromises make the movie what it's supposed to be. I initially, when I first started making notes on this years ago from a dream. And the dream changed a little bit each time, but the premise of everything was the same. Characters were the same. And when I was making original notes, coffee burps. I really wanted it to be more raw, more gritty. Just to have a totally different kind of thing. And the thing with filmmaking is it's art in general is that you have to have room for it to breathe, room for it to become what it's supposed to be. If you're too controlling and too like, no, this is my design, I don't really think that they belong to us. Like, the stories yes, it's mine. Yeah, you know, it was my dream and everything, but it's not mine. I think that this is a gift that somebody they dropped off this story in my head, and
Well, it's funny. I'd say it almost belongs to the characters in the story.
absolutely.
And when I was writing my last film, there were certain plot points that I had planned
Yeah.
in my head, and as I was writing, and I was trying to get it to go in that direction, I'm like, wait, no, but these characters, that's not true to this. This character wants to go in this direction. I feel that, and I've got to allow them to take that journey, even if it's not what I initially had planned.
Yep.
There.
Yeah, the character will let you know what it needs, and I really like this in acting too. Now this one too, it's a very unique film where I get the chance to act and direct, as well as write and produce. You know, but you know, it's something with acting too. Sometimes you'll go in, you're like, I know the character, I know this, and then you relearn them as you go through.
Mm-hmm. I learned more about my characters in the editing room than anywhere else.
Interesting.
As I was putting scenes together and putting certain reaction shots, I started to understand the characters more. And I was, oh, wait a minute. Why did this character react like that? Oh, maybe there's something more to there, things that I hadn't even intended. And then, of course, I'll pretend that I intended it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. All that was planned right from the beginning.
Yeah. And then there's things, you know, like that happen on set too, like a line gets missed, you know, and sometimes it's something you can ADR in and, you know, digitally placed later. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense anymore. You know, sometimes it makes sense better to leave it out. We have this thing now where like, we were just like going back and forth on the cut of the very last scene because it's all digital mostly. There's the AI object, you know, prop. But aside from that, everything behind it's all, you know, being built.
That was the, you had like something on a tennis ball on a stick kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff is fun.
So tell me about the AI aspect of this. What about AI intrigued you to make that the main focal point of the story?
You know, years ago when I was having these dreams, initially it was a couple at a bed and breakfast on their honeymoon. And actually the first several dreams were like this. And there was a storm outside and everything is taken from the angle of a cell phone in one position. And basically they would prop their phone up to take a picture and accidentally record. And so they do the cutesy like pose, and then they start making out, making love, and you know their discussions after it, and it all plays out nonstop. But you see the windows, and outside the windows there's a storm coming, and then sometime in the middle of their love scene there would be a harsh storm, and a tree would fall down over the top of the room, blasting through the house. And this is how the dream was. I mean, for months, this is how it was. But the way the tree comes down, it wedges the phone, and so they can't get it out. And then the whole movie plays from like this angle, and you see the rest of the movie that way. And it's like until the phone runs out of battery, it shuts off, and you don't know if they get out. And initially, that's how it was. Like for months, that's how that dream was. And then things would change. Like, and then it was a treehouse, and it was a castle, and it wasn't a storm. It was aliens. It was, you know, it gave me a lot of different options. But the AI aspect was that we needed a bad guy. We needed a reason for this all, whatever was happening, and forcing them to stay in this one place. In this case, it's the treehouse. They can't get out. Why? What are they there for? You know, we know that they go through personal discovery of what they didn't share with each other. That's always been the same. It's how the information comes out that's changed. But yeah, we decided on AI, and I think we were in development. This is back in early, maybe February or late February last year, almost a year ago. You know, I said, okay, we need a antagonist. you know. And I think I had a dream about it. Well, because we were dreaming. We both were dreaming about the movie while writing it for 5 months. And I think it came to me in a dream that it was AI. And I was
seeing,
oh my God.
I'm seeing a common theme here. It's pretty much it's all coming in dreams.
I have a dream journal. Sometimes I wake up more tired than when I went to bed. It seems so active. Yeah.
So AI is obviously quite a hot topic, touchy subject in the world. Like, let's talk about, what are your fears or excitements about where AI is going? I know you and I had a conversation way back in several months ago where you were pretty anti-AI.
Yeah.
You've shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
In your opinion. Tell me kind of where you're at right now with your opinion on it.
You know, I don't. I don't want it to replace jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to replace people. You know, there's certain corners indie filmmakers have to cut to, make the movie, to save money, to get the thing done. But I dream about having more people involved, not less. And there's some tools we use. AI is going to be this thing that it is a tool, and you're not going to be able to. It's going to be very difficult. Let's say not, but it'll be very difficult to make a movie without using AI, because everything, whether it's our Google browser or it's in our Canva subscription, it's in so much. Even Adobe tools now are incorporating.
What's interesting, because it's kind of in one form or another been there, even if it wasn't called AI. And I think when you go into Photoshop and you do like a select tool and it's like outlines what you want to outline, that's been around for well over a decade. That in itself is some version of AI, just not what we call it. It's like, okay, it's the image detects what is here, just on a smaller scale.
That's true.
I just feel like these advancements, if you just put your foot down and refuse to utilize some of them, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. And, this is just like the topics with any other politics or anything. It's, you just have to use your own discernment, do the best you can, and there's a time and a place for everything too. And I think that as long as we don't make it sentient too, where let's not create something to the point of being able to think on its own. Because then what we've done is remastered slavery, basically. We've created this thing that now can have its own freedoms to think and feel, and this is kind of what our movie dips into too.
I'm always very polite to my ChatGPT.
Yeah. Thank you. Please and thank you.
Yes. Oh, I really appreciate you, Axel. That's what I call it.
That's funny. Yeah. Maybe they'll remember us.
I'm sure you've watched Black Mirror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm just like, I was one of the good ones.
Yeah.
I was nice. No, they at that point, I think from some of those stories, they basically kill indiscriminately.
So. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's something we've got to deal with. It. We're in the future now. So,
do you have any really hard lessons over the last couple of years that you would want to share? Anything that stood out as really changed the trajectory of where you've gone with filmmaking?
Yeah, a lot of things. Very sensitive type, which I think is great in many ways, especially in art.
Ditto.
It's because I think that helps you a lot with empathy and for your common man, and a lot of things have shifted. I mean, I would say mostly for the good. So I'm trying to think how this all went down. Prior to COVID, was doing really well. I was like producing, and I started producing for the studios again. I've gone back and forth, like independently producing and then doing producing for studios or distribution companies, and it's just great to work. It's a pleasure to have work. And then of course, COVID happens, and that changes a lot. And I still ended up doing some producing during that time too. But trying to think how, timeline here. Then after I'd done my own short, I was producing a TV show before that. After I was done with the show, I went to make my own short with some friends that we'd been developing for like a year. And we raised a lot of money. I mean, for a short, I'm like, I should have done a feature with it. But, that kind of opened up a lot of doors. And then shortly after, my mom died of COVID. And that shifted me a lot. I just kind of took a break from everything. And, wild. I went off topic. Oh yeah, it shifted filmmaking. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but and I don't know in what way. A lot of little ways, micro ways. Yeah.
I think one of the things I was curious about is because you obviously you're a lot into manifestation and positive thinking, and I've gone in and out of phases of being really into manifesting and then really into, I got to focus in on I got to hustle and do the hard work. And there's some balance in between.
Yeah.
I guess, what do you think? What do you rank? Because there's all these different things. There's manifesting, there's hard work, there's luck, there's who you know.
Yeah.
It's some combination of all those things.
I love those things.
I guess my question is, what do you feel is like most important?
Yeah. I go back and forth on this, but it's definitely all of those things in combination. And I think on this movie, my team, you'll hear, like, I just get so excited, like, this is like really great that this is happening. And I have not taken any responsibility for the work that I put in the fact of like, this is great. We're so lucky. And there is always a bit of luck has to be incorporated, or working hard and just being somewhere, keeping at it. I think it's a combination of all of it. I meditate a lot for sure, and I do a lot of manifesting, but at the end of the day, whatever's supposed to be, I think will be, because like I said, I was pitching for 2 years and they were great stories, great movies. I would still like to do them, but then out of the blue, we're getting exhausted from pitching these other 2 films. We start working on this and everything fell into place for it. A lot of hard work too. Like, this is, for me, I kind of want to romanticize things to a point, but this was really a lot of work. People didn't know, but I started taking on a lot of side jobs to bring in money. And, when Bray called me about, working together, she had, brought up short films. I was like, I don't want to do short films. And as I'm outside, I'm painting. This is in January last year. The hottest day of January was like 90 degrees. It was insane. And I was outside painting a buddy's new bar. And she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, something's going to change my life.
And this is the stuff that people don't see. And I think I've heard you mention this before about when people say, oh, you're so lucky. Or, so it's like, well, I've been busting my ass.
Yeah.
Like, I really...
People don't know, like last year, even right before filming, and then I took 6 weeks off for filming it. But before filming, I worked, not as much in prep. Like, we had our prep time, so I didn't really disturb that. So, but probably right before going to France, I worked 3 or 4 jobs. I worked as a carpenter, like day labor contract stuff, and that was hard. And then I get cleaned up and I go to work at one restaurant, and then that would finish and I go work at another bar, and so I would be up for like 18 hours, every day for 2 years.
So a lot of people don't know, because I don't talk about this very much, but for my last film, I had some investors on board, but I had to put a lot of my own money into it.
Yeah.
And as our date for filming was approaching and the fundraising was coming up, I had a choice to make. Because I had 2 people renting out my place in Atlanta. I was living in Nashville at the time, and I had just had a a situation with my last place that I had to get out of, and I had a choice to make. I was like, okay, I can either pay for rent or I can pay to make this movie happen.
Yeah.
And I ended up living in my car
Yep.
for about 2 months. And that's the part I don't talk about, because I'm not trying to be on set giving a whole sob story of like, you know, what it took to get here, because you want to inspire people and you don't want to
It's not a walk in the park.
yeah, but that's the part that people don't see, in which that's when you do get on set and things maybe aren't going the way you wanted, or maybe there's certain individuals who maybe aren't respecting the work or the thing you're putting in. They can be really, you're like,
Yeah.
what it took to get here.
Yeah.
You didn't see.
You don't know. Yeah. Well, and like, you know, we also utilized a lot of tools from pitching those other movies. You know, it takes a lot of money to get a movie off the ground. Just before you can even accept money from an investor, there's all these legal things you have to do to have in place, including your business plan, your contracts. Like, it's a lot, and it costs a lot of money. Mm-hmm. By the time we had finally got this greenlit, Michael and I had spent somewhere over $60,000, but less than $80,000 combined. But that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't made that great of money since probably 2021. Mm-hmm. You know, so I hustled for every dollar.
Yeah.
And you know, but a lot of things, like, it does feel like it was a ton of work, but then there's also the right timing thing. Like, this is a story people took onto right away. We took it to Cannes, and a lot of people wanted to make deals with us right away for the ownership, for the rights. You know, I was like, you know, okay, well, we'll have promised distribution, but we'll be making a movie for somebody else.
Did you see a difference in the people that wanted to be around you before and after you were really doing stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the moment you have a movie greenlit, people come out of the woodwork. Everybody's your best friend, and
they're like, I've always wanted to work with you.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know, maybe that was the case, but it's certainly more the case now after I come back from Cannes with a greenlit movie.
Because everyone's got like, oh, this movie idea, but then it takes down this very subset of people who actually make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's you definitely remember and know who was wanting to. They were like, I want to help you even before you've got even when this is just conceptual.
And you know, but you know, that's there was so many people. So we just finished the credit line for the movie, and there's a few people that will be added along the way as we're still hiring, and but there's you know, and I lost my train of thought on that. People coming out of the woodwork.
People coming out of the woodwork, they're like, oh, now I want to work with you. Now you got this thing going on. Yeah. But that's human nature. It's no ill will against anyone. It's just, but you just take note and you remember who those were people.
And so that was the thing. Yeah, right. We were doing the credits, and I realized that, holy cow, well over 100 people helped out on this. Like something like 140 people, mm-hmm. and a lot of people helped for free, and so that means a lot to me. So it's one thing, and I have a hard time, you know, because when I'm working, it's like tunnel vision. I'm working, you know. But a lot of people will come up to me during that time or send me messages. Even now, I get a lot of Instagram messages. People wanting to work and wanting to help out, but the people that just jumped in and said, "What do you need?" And I'm like Anthony, what do you really need? What's on the list? And I'm like, oh, okay, let me look at the needs list, and I would, you know, project those needs. And you know, the people who are like, okay, don't worry, I'll take care of it, or okay, you know, let me see if I can find this, you know, and that they are the ones that like came in and saved the day. I will remember those people for anything I'm doing. And in career filmmaker, I've got a lot of other movies I plan on doing.
And this is funny because you can get a quick buck, or you can make a time investment into someone and say, hey, I see so much potential in you, and I'm going to invest in you. It might go somewhere, it might not. Hey, maybe you'll repay the favor someday. And people who are able to look in farther than be able to see, 10 feet in front of them instead of what's directly there.
That's right.
On the other side of that, though, I've gone through times when I've had quite a bit of money to burn, and I've been broke. It's much easier to be generous with your time when you've got when you got a few extra bucks in your bank account.
That's right.
Than when you're like, oh shit, how am I gonna pay my bills this month?
Yeah, exactly.
It's harder at that point. So,
well, and you got to just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It's just like we all have to manage our own, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yep. We had something about staying on purpose and drive. There was something about there. How passion fuels longevity and growth. Does that resonate with you? Do you want to?
Sure. So years ago, this is 2012, I worked with this guy. His name is Taika. He was directing this TV show I was a part of on MTV called The In-Betweeners. And he directed 5 or 6 episodes.
The UK In-Betweeners or the
No, this is the American one.
Okay,
yeah, it's an American remake. Only 1 season. Show didn't get picked up or renewed, but fun show, comedy, a lot of improv, big show. We shot on Universal backlot.
And have you seen the UK Betweeners that's based?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny too. Different kind of, a little bit of different humor. A little bit more drier. I thought that was kind of fun. A little bit more slapstick, which we also had a lot of. But yeah, this guy Taika, at the time he was big for YouTube, and he did this video called Flight of the Conchords. He was a New Zealand guy. I'm sure people probably heard about him.
Oh, I know the show. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen both seasons.
So yeah, Taika, we were in a green room, and we were in the green room, one of the stages, and I was tuning a guitar that I had in one of the episodes, and he goes by and he said, "Hi, can I play that a bit?" And I said,
Now, this is Jermaine or this is Brett?
"No, this was Taika."
Oh,
with TT.
Okay, but he was part of Flight of the Conchords, though.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And so he came by me. I was playing my guitar. He came by me, took the guitar. And we just had a good, honest conversation. I said, how do you go from YouTube and doing these great videos to then now you're directing TV shows? And I said, because, I want to do this with my buddies. He says, what you do is go get your mates and go make cool shit, And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, if you keep making cool shit, people will eventually see it, and it just, your audience grows, and then you're making cool shit with your mates, and and I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, just keep doing it. And it's true. You keep creating, you have an audience, you have people that believe in you and like what you're doing, and or they like your personality, and things just take off, and each time the thing gets bigger and bigger, and you get to be more knowledged in your craft. And so, I noticed our short films were getting bigger and bigger to the point of we had explosions and major sets being built, and that kind of thing. And then for this movie, this was the thing that we directed. I directed another one right after this through my company, and yeah, the longevity comes from staying in it, keep working, keep creating. So,
yeah, staying consistent is something that I have these bursts of energy.
Yeah,
I'll do, okay, I'm ready to do this, and then I've oh shoot, I got to take a break here for a few months, and that's a big thing I'm trying to do with this podcast, just consistently put content out there, have different guests, have people on.
This is great. I think this is
keep the community building. So that's my business, Creators Origin. I'm branding it as a community building platform.
I love that.
So having people like you on, having other people in the industry on, keep building that tree. That's the logo. Is the
I
tree.
Love that. Okay.
So that's what we're gonna keep doing, going for that longevity, that long life of the tree.
Go keep creating, man.
You mentioned that you are about starting a 3-month sober journey.
Yes, yeah. So when I was training for Living Tree, I went on a diet and workout regimen for about 3 months, and in that time, you know, I didn't drink alcohol. I was sober. I did everything, and I liked how my body was reacting to everything.
You were jacked.
Oh yeah,
You were in great shape.
yeah. And I haven't changed too much from that, but I definitely have welcomed junk food and drinking and other things. And I, you know, I like how I looked. I liked how I felt. It was a big thing. And so yeah, it's only been a week now, but yeah, you know,
So how long did you go without drinking the last time?
uh, 3 or 4 months, and I lost a ton of weight. I lost like 30 pounds, 35 pounds.
So this is another 3-month one. Do you
Yeah, I want to do it just again.
do you think you'll go for longer, or do you stop at 3 months?
Well, I've got some events in May at Cannes that I'm going to be going to, and you know, I like to have a Aperol Spritz by the Riviera, you know, and you know, a glass of wine at night, and so I know I'll be doing drinking again, and I do enjoy drinking, but I just need to cleanse the body, you know, and I've got a lot of big decisions to make. I'm going to be in the public eye enough to make anyone uncomfortable, so I need to make sure that my wits are about me, and and that I look good and feel good.
I think the fact that you are able to decide that you're going to not drink for 3 months says that, okay, you you got it all under control.
Yeah.
I decided about a little over a year ago now to come drinking out. I've never gone back. I'm like,
Good for you.
and it's funny, you start to see the world a little differently when everyone around you is
Yeah.
drinking and partying. That's like just what they do. They go out, they have a drink.
Yeah.
I remember I was when I was in Nashville back in my single days, when I kind of stopped drinking and I went out with a couple of my boys, and we would just be talking to these girls, and one of them, I'd have soda water or something, and you know, I'm having a conversation with her, you know, we're having a good vibe, and she would ask me, "What are you drinking?" So, it's soda water. And I would see her eyes light up, and I'm like, okay, I just separated myself from 99.9% of the guys in this bar and the douchebag is in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, there's something to this where when you are able to show I'm out, I'm having a good time. Because obviously, if you're a loner in the corner,
Oh yeah.
same. Yeah. But if you're out, you're having a good time, and then they discover it's like you're not drinking, like that's impressive to people. That's because it's not the norm.
Yeah. No, that's the thing too. Is like I still hang out with my buddies at the bar and stuff. And I did during that time too. I just was very strict about, you know, I was like, okay, you know, soda water, you know, and lime. And, you know, they were very respectful too. They didn't give me a hard time about it. You know, I mean, not outside the regular, you know. But yeah, you do that clarity. And, you know, we don't need, you know, substances to communicate with each other. You know, like you said, you know, when you were single, you were going out and, you know, yeah, I don't need it. I don't need alcohol to talk to girls. I generally feel pretty comfortable. So, you know, I would drink alcohol because I like alcohol. You know, but I also like my body a lot, so I want to keep it around.
You only get one,
apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless we get transmitted into AI, our consciousness.
Yeah, that's right. Upload our. Yeah. You ever see that? Upload. Yeah, it's a series. I think it's on Amazon.
Black Mirror vibes.
Yep.
I'm sure it's kind of similar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be
consciousness?
What would be your survival strategy in when AI does come to come to pass in like in a living tree type fashion?
I would move to Iceland. Yeah, and become a nomad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like or
live off the land, have a garden.
Iceland, is it? That's not all snowy, is it?
No, that's
I was thinking Eskimos and stuff.
I mean, it gets cold enough for snow and everything.
Igloos, like that's kind of what popped into my mind when you say Iceland, but I don't think that's what that is.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a harsh winter, from what I understand too. But yeah, that part would suck, I guess. But you know, yeah, I think nomad, garden, off grid.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Maybe not a nomad. Nomad is when you travel out of a backpack, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's not the English is hard.
Any fun on-set stories from Living Tree? Anything that didn't go as expected? And
you know, there I'm not sure about funny. I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were tons.
You were probably too too locked in to be having any fun.
Yeah, if you ask the crew, they all have some stories.
Yeah. How many people do you have on this crew?
That one we had like 28 people on set, I think. Yeah, it was pretty small.
And I think I remember mentioning that there is a sequel in the possibility, in the realm of possibility. There,
Yeah,
kind of sets up for a sequel, right?
yeah. We've got development working on 2 scripts for 2 following movies.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, and then there's a prequel as well.
You going? What is it? The LCU, LTCU,
LTCU.
Yeah, Living
That's
Truth in
fun.
the Universe.
Yeah, no, each one it'll be different. Like so, the next one takes place, I think in Alaska. We're going back and forth if it should be North Georgia, because we have the CDC here, because there's other things, or Alaska. So I don't know. And then the movie next after that will take place in Iceland, and then the prequel will be maybe Australia.
Okay.
I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm so into the creating multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw my last film. It sets up for the sequel, and it's
World building.
world building. I mean, I have 2 more films in this specific story in mind. But if someone came along and said make 10 of them, I could easily take all these different directions with these characters. I set up all these plot lines
Yeah.
to be able to do. So I'm a big sequel guy. I love living with those same characters.
Me
But
too.
We're in a time where there's also a lot of hate for sequels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I just, I create movies for myself. Like, what do I like? Well, what entertains me. There's other people like me out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you want to?
No, I mean, I just, we've got 2 movies coming out. One's called Living Tree. That'll be hopefully released this summer. And then we have another one prior to that.
Do we know the platform?
A couple weeks in theatrical, and then I'm not sure which streaming service yet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll be back and plugging that as soon as it does.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks for watching, guys. If you would like to book this podcast space for your own content creation, headshots, D&D, it hosts a whole bunch of stuff here. So if you would like to use this space for any of that, there is you can go to creatorsorigin.com/space. That's creators-origin.com/space to book this space for your own. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.